Okay, I wrote some stuff. I'm just gonna read it a little bit, some insights. It's a state of being. Although when starting out, the feeling is subtle, I believe it can reach a powerful state. Basically, everybody is vibrating a particular state of being. If somebody wants to change and do something different in life, the state of being starts off very subtle, but can reach a powerful state. And when that new state of being reaches a powerful state, is when their life and their experience changes. Let me keep reading and we'll, extract this idea that I have. If you feel as though it were real, what more can you ask for? It's the progressive realization of something. Already, you live with distorted perception of reality. People already live with a distorted perception of reality. This is, you see life through the mental programs you picked up. So you see the life that you're living through the mental programs you picked up. They're not real, they're just mental programs. That's why everybody else's ideologies are different, because they're just distortions of reality. It creates the personality of people. It's not real, but it's real in the sense that the personality is there. It's a real working personality, but it's not the reality of life. The reality of life lies above the distortions of personality and prejudices and biases and shit like that. Life is just a certain way, and everybody is looking at life through a different lens, through their mental distortions. Let's keep going. Mental distortions don't have to be negative, they're just there. So instead of letting your unconscious distortions determine your experience, vibrating things such as I am a failure, I am not good enough, or it isn't possible, which isn't true, but becomes a reality because you hold it in your mind's eye unconsciously. So the people who are living a more rough existence, they're holding in their mind's eye unconsciously thoughts of I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, it isn't possible, whatever it may be specifically to their life and what they're trying to do. Somebody might be trying to be a musician, but deep down they're like, I'm not good enough, I'm not a good musician. They're resonating that in their mind's eye. Now, you can just allow yourself to become aware of the silence and the stillness within yourself and sort of let go of those mental distortions, which will make you live a better life. Or you can hold in a mental distortion that counteracts that one and make it become more powerful, essentially. And that's how a person ends up becoming that thing. So for example, if he wants to be a musician, he normally been holding the idea that he's a failure musician. If he now holds the idea within himself and he actually feels it to be true that he's a successful musician, and it becomes more strong and more powerful where it envelops his entire body, stronger than the negative one, quote unquote negative one, that he's a failure, then it will manifest in his reality. So these distortions are there. So instead of letting an unconscious distortion hold it, instead of letting an unconscious distortion in your mind, instead take a conscious control of the mental distortions and place thoughts of your choosing. I am good enough, I can, or I am. The difference in experience lies in what you are aware of. Whatever you're aware of is your experience. That's just a fact. You're aware of suffering, you're gonna suffer. You're aware of happiness and pleasure, you'll be happy and pleasureful, whatever. There's a train coming, let me talk real quick. I do not know, okay, yeah, this is me. I do not know if this determines physical manifestation. So I don't know if doing this practice within yourself determines physical manifestation. Let me pause for this train. All right, so the train is outside right now. I do not know if doing this mental thing within yourself, this awareness thing within yourself, determines physical manifestation. But when we look at a successful person, he knows himself to be successful. He knows himself to be successful. He progressively realized that state. He knows himself to be a successful person. If you look at a successful person, he doesn't really doubt whether or not he can be continuing the success that he's doing in his particular field. He just kind of knows it. And before he was ever successful, he kind of progressively realized that he was capable of being this successful person in his endeavor. So that's with anybody, you know. They progressively realize that they can do it. At first, they had to realize that it was possible for them, and then along the way, they progressively realized that it was possible, and it manifested in their life, through their actions, through the opportunities that they got, in the way they walked, talked, and acted, all that stuff like that. It manifested. Let's see. An unconscious person is successfully entertaining the ideas that he is a failure. So a person who is not successful, right? He's unconsciously, successfully entertaining the ideas that he is not successful. The successful person is successfully entertaining the ideas that he is successful, is in his endeavor. The unsuccessful person is unconsciously, successfully entertaining the ideas that he is an unsuccessful person. So thoughts of I am not good enough in his endeavor. It's all how deep the state of being can become. Can you make it feel real to the point it is real, more real than your present circumstances? So the idea is to get the state of being within yourself so real of your particular endeavor that it becomes more real than your present circumstances, quote unquote present circumstances, which are determined by your state of being. You're externally identified with your life. Can you make the state of being that you want to see in reality more real than your present circumstances? Playing with the distortions of who you believe yourself to be, and ultimately becoming that person. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether or not anything happens on the outside. It's really the state of being if you pay attention to an individual. And typically the people who are resonating the states of being of what it is they want, a successful actor a person who wants to be an actor, he must first become one first. He must feel himself to be a great actor first before he can ever land a big role. He must really believe in himself as this great actor before he could ever be an actor, before he could ever be a successful actor. If he never believes himself to be a successful actor, he would never be a successful actor. He had to believe himself first to that state of being. I don't know how much of this requires physical action versus just resonating a state of being. It's something to really entertain and really practice because, you know, and that's what I'm doing and experimenting with. But one thing we do know, I don't know if it manifests physically, but one thing we can really pay attention to is someone who's successful in their endeavor knows himself to be a success in that endeavor. Someone who's a failure unconsciously knows himself to be a failure in his endeavor. That's one thing we do know. So it's something to entertain. And honestly, when you're in the state of being and you feel it and you resonate it as a reality, it's real. Who's there to say it's not real other than yourself? It's real, you know? You don't have to go out and say it. You could just feel it because you don't want to look like a fucking nut job. But yeah, that's basically this end of this clip. Yeah.